right. So I am very fortunate to connect with friends and people that I've known over the last few years for this new set of hairstyle interviews. And today there's no exception. We have Antonio Johnson, the author of UNEX. And I'm
Yes.
actually excited because I actually have the book and I
I'm
started
so
to read
excited
it.
about that.
And it's really cool. So like just for a little backstory, Antonio and I, we interned together, Radio One Philadelphia. I was like last few months of being a senior in high school, and he was actually a freshman at Morgan State. And
Yes.
I was going into my first year of college, which Hampton University, another HBCU. So I would ask Antonio like, how's college life, all these things, because like he knew what was going on. So we talked about college, but then also him and Jasmine Gill, Allen now. We would meet up, talk
Yes.
about music and pop culture and all of those things. So it's really great to see Antonio doing great things now. He has the book coming out September 1st, correct? And
Yeah,
I
September
already have
1st.
September 1st. I already have a copy. You can order online. Get your copy delivered to your door too. So how are you doing? How's everything? You know, in the midst of everything that's going on, like how are you holding up right now?
With everything that's going on, I can honestly say that I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stay as positive and optimistic as I can, but also, very realistic as to what's happening and just staying safe, trying to stay indoors as much as I can. I'm still practicing my social distancing. So I'm trying to keep that up, but this is a good time for me because this project that I've worked so hard on is finally going to be out and available for everyone to have and experience and enjoy. So that brings me a lot of joy because I've been working on this for so long, and it is an opportunity to give back to a community of people that have given me so much.
So you're currently in Atlanta, correct?
I'm currently in Atlanta. Yep.
Okay.
I
So
after I traveled the country, I kind of left New York and settled in Atlanta to finish out the project and also do some additional photography here because Atlanta is known as a hair capital. So there are tons of barbershops and tons of salons that I could go to continue working on the project. So yeah, I'm in Atlanta now.
so before we get into the book, because we are, quarantining and things, how do you keep your hair fresh? Are you getting a haircut? Are you doing it
Ooh,
yourself? Like
yes.
how are you making it through right now?
So before everything went on lockdown, I
Mm-hmm.
had I had an appointment with my barber. So that was
Mm-hmm.
what, March 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last time that I was inside of a barber shop.
Okay.
But I have a pair of clippers. I have a master,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a bevel trimmer that
Okay.
has been keeping me fresh throughout the entire quarantine process. So I've been cutting my own hair, and I feel like each time I do it, I get better and better. I'm like looking in the camera now to see how it's looking. But yeah, I've been cutting it myself. I had a beard for a little bit in the beginning of the process, but I decided to like shave it all off and go clean and just rock the heavy stash.
Yeah, shout out to YouTube because I definitely became a YouTube barber.
Yes, yeah.
you know.
I've been looking at stuff on YouTube. I had
uh-huh.
been looking at videos on TikTok, literally wherever I could find content where people were explaining to people how to cut their own hair. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it. And I had tried because I studied abroad in Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
I had already a little bit of practice with cutting my own hair. So this kind of was like, my next entry point into doing that.
Okay. So we're gonna finally get into the book. So this
Yeah.
book, You Next,
Yes.
and this is about Antonio's journey, um, exploring barbershops and Black communities across the country. And the phrase "you next," as he mentions in the book, is pretty much a play on when the next person is up in the seat in the barbershop, they say "you next." And it's really a journey through pictures and stories of the barbershop and the Black experience in the barbershop. And one of the things that stuck out to me was in the book, there was a quote that like appeared a couple times just in the beginning before I even got through any more of the book, and it was, "There's something about a fresh haircut that can change a Black man's outlook on the world." So talk a little bit about that statement. And
Yeah. I honestly believe that um, when you get an opportunity to sit in the chair and you are able to just kind of like shed all of the things that you've been going through, and we hold things in our hair, so we get a haircut, we release some things, we're allowing new things to grow and new things to happen. And as you sit in that chair and as you go through that final revolution, that spin, you get an opportunity to be the best version of yourself. And you next really means to me, not only are you next to get a haircut, but whatever the next thing is that you're trying to do, or the next thing that you're trying to be. I feel like with the haircut, you can do it. And I feel like the barbershop represents that space of opportunity. I can think of so many significant moments in my life that, the barbershop was the first stop on those moments. So, so I think about my prom, I think about my graduation, I think about, doing these like interviews and conversations with people like you. Like, I cut my hair so I could be fresh and ready. So that's what you next means to me. It means that you have an opportunity to be your best version for whatever it is you have coming up.
And I want to talk about that a bit because you touched on like your growing up and your uncle being a barber and
Yes.
just the different places you went. So what was that experience for you like as a child? Because I was actually talking to a friend the other day, and we were they're from New York, from Harlem, and we were just talking about our experiences in growing up in rough parts of the city, and then like how barbershops were then, where a lot of it was just a much more gritty experience, but it was real. And now
Yeah.
barbershops are like so polished, and it's like, you got check-in stations, and it's like you still get the conversation and things, but it definitely just felt much more gritty and the
Yeah,
90s, and just like it was a different experience. But like,
definitely.
touch a little bit on like just your childhood, like growing up through the barbershop. Like, what are some memories? Like, what was that vibe? Like, what was that for you?
Yeah. So so many of my like childhood barbershop memories. My favorite memories I talk about in the book are with my uncle Jason, who was a barber who who was cut hair every weekend at home on 52nd and Market,
Okay.
right under the L. And or during the week, he would be back at Cheney cutting everybody's hair who would just stop by his dorm. And the moments that we spent together as a kid were just so special and so significant. I remember every time I got a haircut, no matter if I brushed my hair or not, he told me that my hair was peasy. And that was just something that I knew that I could always bank on. And walking into the shop, I still remember like the wood paneling. It was an old school shop, like kind of like a shotgun style building. Tons of chairs lined up. There was a woman there with like door knocker earrings and like cool hot pink shirt, and just stylish and just authentic, just authentic in their expression and who they were. So I remember those days, but also the times that I spent with my dad at his barbershop in Southwest called Mr. Leon's. Mr. Leon's was this shop that was really small. There were 3 chairs, but he was the only barber there. And I would go there and just imagine, one day being in the style guides that would be on the walls, and I would look at all of the old Jet magazines and immediately open up the Beauty of the Weeks to see who they were, like look at, old Ebony magazines, but also get a chance to look at I remember looking at the Jet magazines and always seeing what music was like the top of the week. So whether it was a single or whether it was an album, um, and just feeling like this is such a cool place. You know, it was an opportunity to get a chance to see my dad outside of just being my dad. He had friends, he had a life, he had full experiences that were before me, and I got a chance to really get to know him through the barbershop and through his friends there at the barbershop.
Mm-hmm. So why this project? Like, what really inspired you? Like, because you've explored a lot of different, areas of media and journalism and art. What was it about the barbershop that finally made you like sit down and take on this project and bring this to life?
That's a really good question. I think that I had, like you're right. I've been in pretty much every facet of media.
Mm-hmm.
Before this, I was at a huge publishing company in New York, and and then before that, I was like producing stuff in reality. But I never had a chance to really get my hand on like the actual creative process from the beginning to end on my own. And I needed to have that experience and that opportunity. So what I did was I went to Cuba in 2016, and I remember seeing all of these like cool, really small, like home makeshift barbershops there, and thinking to myself, I like love this. Like
Mm-hmm.
these like small like shops and the people here in them remind me of all of the shops that I would go to back home. And I kind of just kept playing with that, like thinking about them. So I would take pictures every day while I was there, and just like what I guess to say this in the most succinct way as possible, seeing those shops really stuck with me, and I could not stop thinking about them, and I kept thinking about the ways that we all congregate at the barbershop for everything that happens. So um, I kept looking at those photos, and I was like writing things down on my phone on my way to work on the train. And I thought like, okay, well, at the time I was also reading Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. And in the book, Milkman finds out that Emmett Till dies, but he's at the barbershop. And so I thought it would be a really interesting way to kind of take all of these old pieces of literature where barbershops appear and put some new photos to it.
Okay.
And that was going to be the idea. I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. But then
Mm-hmm.
things changed where I thought, okay, I could possibly do something, completely brand new by bringing in new voices, new writers, new ideas, to match these new photos and reflect the time that we're in. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got to this state of the project. It took a lot of like thinking and planning and workshopping the idea with people. But I had the great opportunity to do a Kickstarter in 2018 at the top of the year, and I raised like I raised $11,699 to be exact.
The exact amount.
And yeah, and by doing that, it really made me just it gave me the confidence to go out there and actually get the project done. And from there, I went on a tour of the country, everywhere from Philly to Chicago to DC, Atlanta, Detroit, Gary, Indiana, LA, Oakland, New Orleans, and get a chance to see, barbershops in all of these communities.
Places I know you're just getting you next out. Is there, after Corona and everything, are you going to visit more places and continue this as a series, or?
I feel like this. I feel like this is a body of work that I'm incredibly proud of, and I think that it's something that I the barbershop is a place that I always want to be connected to, whether I'm photographing in them or not. I don't know if I'm going to continue photographing the barbershop post-COVID, but I do know that anytime the barbershop is mentioned or anytime that there's an opportunity to be a part of the conversation, I definitely want to be a part of it. I have, I like to travel, so I've explored the idea of maybe, taking photos of barbershops and the ways that guys get their haircuts in different countries. So we'll see. Maybe that is a way that I'll stay connected to it, but I don't even know if the barbershops are going to be open for real. I think that we have seen evidence of how people in other countries, like I was in Dakar in the beginning of the year and, guys were getting their haircuts on the street. I think that might be something that people do moving forward. So we'll see.
So one thing that's like a common theme when you're talking to Black men and you may move from city to city or even going to college, every Black man is like, everybody can't cut my hair and I got to find the right barber. So how did you do that from going to college to moving to New York, moving to Atlanta? How did you find new barbers to master your haircut?
Ooh, that's a
good
question.
Journey?
We can talk about this for hours. Listen, I, like when I was in college, I was interning at, we were interning together and I would, so I went to school in Baltimore and there are some great barbers in Baltimore. I've seen their work. Where I was at Morgan State, the closest barbers to me were not that good. So I was traveling from Baltimore to Philly pretty much every other weekend to get my haircut. So it was something that I really had to make time for and, plan out. When I got to New York from college, it was a struggle. I went to literally every barbershop that I could. I went to every type of barber. I went to Dominicans. I went to, an Asian person. I went to, to a Jamaican, I went to everybody to get my haircut. And that was a process that I was in New York for like 8 years. I feel like I kind of got it right within like the last 3 years that I was there. Because growing up in Philly, it is such a, the barbers approach your haircut with such art, with such detail, with such care. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen everywhere else. I'm just saying that I was used to a certain level of service.
So what's that song that you play, like your confidence booster song, that song, you get that fresh haircut? What's that song? Like, what's your go-to song?
That's a great question. I feel like right now, my go-to, it's not a specific song. It's like it's an album. Okay. While I was working on this project, Everything Is Love came out.
Okay.
And I whenever I was walking around to a lot of barbershops. So whenever I was walking around places, that was the soundtrack that was like playing in my head. So now when I'm like going to barbershops, I'm like thinking about those songs. So that's the answer that I would give to you for that. The specific song that I have that like is that confidence booster when I'm getting my cut, like I feel like I could do anything. You got me on that one. I got to Atlanta. I was just playing everything by like Dark Job. Like I went through his whole entire catalog. That was like a big thing for me as like post photography was like pretty much everything Dark Job. So it was a lot of Brandy.
And I was just about to say, you mentioned Dark Child, and like the first thing that comes to my head was anytime I think of Dark Child, I think of Brandy. I think of that Full Moon album and like even the hits before then. I mean, The Boy's Mine. Like Dark Child, like, and I mean, not just Brandy, but Dark Child is like really a musical legend, and his whole entire, team, that he always worked with. So this will probably air after the battle, but I guess for the battle, your team Brandy.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to like the full body of work,
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm gonna have to go with. But Monica has a great record. You know what
She
I'm saying?
does.
Her catalog
Monica
is
has hits,
amazing.
and she's still
Hits,
producing
hits,
hits.
hits after hits after hits. I was talking about this earlier. So many great hits from that first album that I felt like a lot of people forgot about. Like This and Like That is so good. Honestly, I'm torn.
What's your top five Brandy? Top five Brandy.
Top five Brandy songs. Okay, Ultimate Brandy tracks is obviously Full Moon. Obviously, Never Say Never.
Okay.
Obviously, Angel in Disguise. I think that's just a certifiable bop.
And that's how she opened the album.
Yes, and Joe
Crazy.
on the background.
Yeah, crazy.
Come on, it's so good.
So crazy.
I Want to Be Down. Like it's just so good. Like that down. Like at the end. Yeah, those are my top ones.
My favorite Brandy song and one of my favorite songs of all time is Necessary off the Aphrodisiac album.
Yes, that's really good.
That's my song. I love Brandy. I love Monica. I'm excited for this battle.
Here's the thing. I was joking earlier about this. The battle is not between Brandy and Monica. It's really just to give honor and appreciation to Whitney Houston.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because they both were so incredibly impacted by her talent. We all are.
And speaking of impact, so I'm going to close with this. So what exactly do you want? Like, what do you want your book to accomplish? Like, what impact do you want this book to leave on young Black men, the Black community? Just what do you want to accomplish with this book?
That's a great question. There's a lot of conversation about Black men in this country, and there always has been. There's so many things that people say about us. There's so many ways in which people kind of just like have their ideas and impression of us, both in our community and outside of our community, and they just leave it at that. I want this project to speak to not only to let Black men know that you're seen, you're appreciated, you have a community that loves you, that wants to support you and uphold you, and that is the barbershop. And that I would like for this project to inspire other people to think about the communities that they have, that they feel whole in, that they feel at home in, and that they would like to invest in. You know what I'm saying? We both went to HBCU, so we know the importance and the power of that education structure and just having the space to like learn with Black people, and how that informs, the lives that we live. So I want this project to just inspire people to think about the communities and the spaces that they have, or the spaces that they would like to see exist, and create them. This project is, like I've been saying for a while now, it was so special and important to me, because I love the barbershop so much. But as we see happening, in our world, like it could go away, and this was an opportunity to record how we were. And that's just really special. So I want people to think about all the things that they would like to record and hold special and near and dear to their heart, like the barbershop.
And that's great that you say that, because I didn't think about it like that. It's literally like a time capsule. Like kids one day will look at this and be like, wow, the barbershop was like this, because it just Like you said, it may
Yeah.
never be the same
Like,
for those.
there are kids who are in the book
Mm-hmm.
who can look back on this and be like, that's me. Like I was in that, I'm in those photos. And that's, that's something that's amazing. Because like I said, as a kid, I would look at the style guides on the wall in the barbershop and think like, oh, I want to be like that guy, or, I want to get my hair cut like that one day. And, those are possibility models. And so I want people to look at you next as a possibility model. I want people to look at me as a possibility model. And I want, people to look at all of us as like, possibilities. Like this is who I could be. This is what I could do. And I just want people to know that there's a community of people who support you at every turn.
Awesome. So where can everybody get you next on September
Yes,
1st?
that's the best question. The book is available wherever books are sold right now. You can get it on bookshop.org. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Amazon. It's available at Walmart. It's available at Target. But even if you don't support any of those retailers, you can get it at any of your local bookstores. Just go inside, call them on the phone, ask for You Next. Reflections in Black Barber Shops by Antonio M. Johnson, and you can get your own copy.